The brutal truth about being sensitive, what nobody dares to reveal today. In a world that thrives on toughness, the raw truth of being sensitive is the hidden monster lurking in the shadows. It's like walking through a minefield, where every glance, every whisper can unleash an explosion of emotion that leaves you breathless. What if being sensitive isn't just a quirk, but a powerful gift wrapped in a constant battle of anxiety and overthinking? Picture this, a child, small and frail, at a birthday party filled with laughter, yet every cheer feels like an echo of confusion, every balloon bursting is a sheer jolt of pain, while the cake's sweetness carries the bitter aftertaste of fear. Can you feel the tension rising? It's there in the air, thick as fog, whispering secrets and fears that make the heart race like a runaway train. Just think about the weird stares from friends when you cried over a sad movie. They don't get it. They don't understand the lump in your throat, the way your chest tightens, or how every emotional moment feels like it sweeps you away into a torrential flood of feelings. Every drop of joy mixes with shadows of sadness, turning every celebration into a tightrope act over a pit of despair. But wait, the strange stuff doesn't end there. You find yourself in a foggy room, the walls vibrating with memories that don't belong to you, feeling like you can pick up on the silence and unshed tears of those nearby. Shadows dance at the corners of your eyes, urging you to listen more closely, to feel deeper, to know more. It's electric, unsettling, and utterly captivating. What secrets are these feelings hiding? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Then, beneath the sheen of a friendly smile, a more sinister narrative unfolds. What if behind that laughter, that beautiful facade, are layers of secrets begging to be uncovered? The tight knot in your gut suggests maybe your sensitivity is a warning signal, the universe crying out for you to pay attention. Could it be that every heightened emotion is a glimpse into a much darker reality? Why do others close off, avoiding the unraveling truth, while you dive deeper, thirsting for closure? What if something terrifying lurked just beneath the surface of your own empathy, waiting for the moment to spring forth? The night's whisper echoed on the streets, drawing you into an unknown abyss. Are you ready to face the mysteries that being sensitive brings? What unfolds next might just turn your understanding upside down and reveal what nobody dares to show. The air felt electric, as if charged with an unspoken tension. Shadows flickered beneath every streetlight, whispering truths that seemed just out of reach. Were they real, or mere figments of an overstimulated imagination? The line between reality and the surreal blurred, becoming an indistinguishable haze that danced around. You took a deep breath, heart racing, each pulse echoing the thrill of discovery mixed with a creeping fear. What lay ahead? What was this hidden truth, lurking like a beast in the darkness, poised to pounce? With every step, you felt the pull of something greater than mere curiosity, a desperate need to understand, to uncover those secrets that had long been buried beneath safe smiles. Suddenly, a soft weeping broke through the murmur of the night. The sound was haunting, raw, pulling at the threads of your heart. You followed it, instinctively drawn to the source, and turned a corner to find a frail figure huddled against the alley wall. A woman, her face streaked with tears, the moonlight catching her agony. You felt the weight of her sorrow ignite within you, like a flame leaping to life. "What's wrong?" you asked, your voice barely more than a whisper, yet it felt like a siren call to her broken spirit. Her head snapped up, wide eyes glistening, filled with a tumult of emotions that mirrored your own fear, sadness, but also a flicker of hope. "They don't understand," she said, her rasping voice trembling. "Nobody understands the pain we feel." A chill ran through you, her words striking a familiar chord. Was her sensitivity a reflection of your own? The weight of her suffering seemed to crack open a window of understanding, an exposure to raw emotions that lapped at your soul like waves eroding a cliffside. Before you could respond, she clenched her fists, as if gathering strength. It's like being stuck in a storm and no one can even see the clouds. Clenching your jaw, the gravity of her words hit like a punch to the gut. Here was someone, raw and honest, standing right before you, completely exposed. You realized this wasn't just a moment of connection, it was a revelation. A raw truth that cut through the fog of your own experiences. Why could you feel her pain so deeply? But in that instant, something shifted. A distant shout echoed through the alley, snapping you back to reality. The world around you, once filled with the veil of private sorrow, now transformed into a battleground of external chaos. Instinct kicked in. This wasn't just about her pain, it was about something much larger, something that went beyond either of you. A glimmer of shadows swirled off to the side, shifting beneath the glow of a flickering lamp. You squinted through the darkness and your stomach dropped. Figures moved, cloaked in the guise of familiar faces, whispering secrets that felt wrong even from a distance. They were coming closer, not for you, but for the woman. Run, your voice burst out, cutting through the night like a siren. Before you could process the intensity of the moment, she stared up at you, her eyes wide in fear and disbelief. Would she follow? Would she trust you enough to escape whatever dark entity was closing in? The moment hung pregnant with uncertainty, each heartbeat pounding against the brick walls, threatening to crush it all. What would happen next? Could you both slip through this nightmarish grasp together, or would the shadows claim another victim? And just as you felt the world tilt beneath your feet, the figures rushed forward. The figures blurred through the dim light, their silhouettes twisted and warped as they surged into the alley, an amorphous wave of malevolence intent on finding its prey. Panic clawed at your throat as you seized the woman's hand, feeling how cold she was, as if she had just stepped out of a nightmare herself. Come on. We have to go. You yelled, your voice thick with urgency. She hesitated, fear clouding her features, but the shrill chaos of approaching footsteps urged her forward. Together, you wove through the darkness, adrenaline surging, pushing you both beyond the confines of rational thought. Each heartbeat pounded in your ears, drowning out the world around you, but all too soon, you turned and saw the swirling darkness closing in. You led her into the heart of the night, where the tangled streets spread out like an uncharted map. Every turn felt precarious, every shadow potentially harboring your pursuers. Stray cats darted across your path, disturbed by the electric energy that shrouded the air. You could sense the tension, the confusion. This wasn't just about escape, something was dreadfully wrong, something that shadowed the entire city. Where are we going? She gasped between breaths, each word a lifeline breaking through the haze of fear. The park, it's open. We can hide there. You replied, urging her on. The green space seemed a beacon amidst the encroaching dread. As you drew closer, the sounds of the night began to morph, the distant laughter of late-night revelers now twisted into howls of anguish. You stopped short at the entrance, suddenly aware of the overwhelming silence enveloping the park, a shroud that spoke of danger and despair. Look! You said, pointing toward the willow trees, their thick branches draping like dark curtains. We can hide there. She nodded, desperation flickering to life in her eyes. Together, you slipped into the tree's shadows, pressing against the rough bark, drawing cold comfort from its stillness. Every sound seemed amplified, your heart thudding in tandem with the whispers of the wind. As you panted, the air crackled with unspoken words. What was that back there? You asked, your voice trembling. Who were they? The woman swallowed hard, eyes glazed over with memories. There. The council, she managed. They don't want anyone questioning the truth. They'll do anything to silence the ones who feel too deeply. The implications of her words settled heavily in the air, each syllable resurfacing doubts and fears clawing at your consciousness. You, too, had felt the world pressing down, pushing against your truths, urging compliance over authenticity. Abruptly, the neighboring laughter was cut off by a piercing scream, sending a jolt of primal fear through you both. The trees seemed to lean closer, listening intently. What are they doing? Your voice shook with disbelief. They hunt those who challenge their narrative, she whispered, her eyes darting around in the darkness, like a hunted animal sensing impending doom. They'll come for us next unless what? You urged, a flicker of hope illuminating the tension. Unless we expose them. If they see we're not afraid, we might have a chance. Before you could respond, rustling echoed through the trees, sending every nerve on fire. Shapes moved furtively, their distorted forms creeping through the dim light. The sound of boots crunched against the gravel path, too close, too menacing. Hide! You hissed, instinct pushing you back deeper into the shadows. Hearts pounding, you clenched your fists, hoping against hope. They were set on discovery, and you caught between belonging and rebellion stood on the precipice of something terrifyingly transformative. Did you dare to face the council's wrath, or would the shadows swallow you both before the truth could ever be revealed? And in that haunting silence, the imminent clash loomed ahead, as the darkness stirred. The rustling grew louder, the figures emerging from the darkness solidifying into menacing shapes, their faces obscured by hoods that seemed to funnel shadows directly into their eyes. They moved with purpose, the crunch of gravel underfoot echoing the intended finality of their intent. "What do we do?" she breathed, her voice barely a whisper, barely there at all. You could see the tension coiling in her body, her hands trembling as she gripped the bark of the willow tree. "We have to stay quiet," you replied, your own heart hammering wildly in your chest. The council, lurking closer, began to scan the park. Their collective gaze felt like an icy sweep, touching every inch of the dim expanse. You could feel their malicious energy crawling across your skin. It was a force that demanded obedience, that whispered promises of safety in exchange for silence. Then one of them stopped, a tall figure, his voice splitting the night air like a knife. "We know you're here. There's nowhere to hide." Panic surged through you, causing your throat to tighten. The urge to bolt was strong, but the primal instinct to stay still and silent was equally compelling. From your hiding spot, you caught a glimpse of the hooded figure's face, an unsettling mix of contempt and zeal. Something about his expression told you he enjoyed this hunt. "Who are you?" The woman finally called out, her voice shaking, but filled with an unexpected strength. "What do you want from us?" The council turned their full attention toward her, eyes narrowing in an agonizing moment of recognition. "You're brave, but bravery won't save you," the figure replied, a sinister smile creeping across his lips. "You're not the first to question our authority, and you certainly won't be the last. But every question brings consequences." The air thickened with dread, and suddenly, you felt the weight of belief pressing against you. Was it worth it? Was confronting the council, a shadowy entity that thrived on fear, really the answer? You thought about the pain etched into the countless faces that had fallen before. But her words echoed in your mind. "If they see we're not afraid, we might have a chance." The tension surged again, snapping like a rubber band pulled too far. The council advanced, and the other figures joined in, forming a phalanx ready to pounce. You felt the urge to act, to protect her from this dark tide, but what could you do? You were just two souls against a darkness that seemed all-consuming. "Run!" you shouted suddenly, instinct winning over thought. The words escaped your lips like a burning ember. The woman hesitated, fear frozen on her face, then nodded. You both darted from the shadows and into the open, adrenaline propelling your legs forward. The shrill cries of the council echoed behind, rapidly closing the distance between you. Each footfall felt like a countdown, each breath was a potential goodbye. As you tore through the park, the laughter of the earlier revelers now faded completely, replaced by the haunting silence of the trees. They watched, seemingly indifferent, as you fled. Breathless and terrified, you reached the far edge of the park, where a thick row of hedges awaited. Beyond them, the bustle of the city felt like a distant promise, but just as you reached the first bush, a figure lunged from the shadows. Strong hands seized you, and you stumbled, caught off guard. You twisted to break free, but the world spun around you as the figure yanked you back, pulling you closer into the darkness. "No!" the woman cried, reaching back toward you, her voice an echo of desperation. In that instant, everything froze, your heart, your breath, your resolve, until you heard the all-too-familiar voice of the hooded figure. "We've got you now." And with that, the weight of despair washed over you as the edges of the night swallowed your vision. What had for so long felt like a united cause now dimmed into a personal struggle against the grasp of the council. As you drifted into fading consciousness, the sound of hushed whispers filled the air, the promise of truth hanging precariously. Between light and darkness, what part would you play in this unraveling? How deeply were you willing to go to reclaim the narrative stolen from you? The darkness closed in around you, an oppressive blanket that stifled any remaining hope. Distant voices murmured in hushed tones, their words weaving a shroud of uncertainty. You couldn't make out what they were saying, but the tone was unmistakable contempt mingled with amusement, like wolves enjoying their prey. Feeling the grip on your shoulders tighten, you fought against it, panic surging through your veins. What did they want? Why did they feel the need to play with you? The woman's cries faded into the background as your vision blurred, a desperate attempt to comprehend your situation. Please, you murmured, your voice barely a whisper. Let us go. The hooded figure stepped closer, shadows dancing across his face, revealing a sneer that sent chills spiraling down your spine. You think you can just waltz into our space and question our power? You will learn differently. The word struck you like a blow. A sickening dread clawed at your insides. Was this what rebellion looked like? A confrontation that would end with your downfall? Each second felt like an eternity as the realization settled in. You weren't just pawns in a game, you were captives of a terrifying reality orchestrated by unseen hands. Then, suddenly, everything shifted. The hulking figure released his grip, and you fell to the ground, gasping for air. The world swirled around you, and you tried to push yourself up, but heavy boots flooded closer. The council stood in a circle now, their eyes boring into you. Do you understand now? The figure continued, kneeling down to meet your gaze. You are but a flicker of flame in a hurricane, and we are the storm. You should have stayed silent. A surge of anger coursed through you, dissolving the haze of fear. You can't just silence. He roared, sending a violent ripple of energy through the air. The other figures flinched, but you stood your ground. Maybe you had limited power, but you'd be damned if you surrendered your voice. No matter the depths of fear, you couldn't back down now, but the moment was fleeting. Another figure exhaled loudly, releasing a laugh that sent shivers racing down your spine. Look at this one. Brave enough to defy us, but bravery leads to suffering. Throwing a look toward the woman who had stood by you, you bought yourself a moment to gather your thoughts. If you could break through this darkness together. You reached for her hand, but a cold laugh interrupted. She's not your ally. You're both lost, forgetting that hope is a sinking ship. Silence fell heavily, making each heartbeat sound thunderous. The tension coiled tighter, electrifying the air around you. You couldn't allow despair to sink its claws deeper. You remembered her bravery, her words about defying fear. You won't silence us. You yelled, the conviction rising in your chest. The hooded figure recoiled slightly. Oh, but we will. Soon enough, you will learn the price for questioning us. Suddenly, they moved back, forming a tight barrier, muttering amongst themselves in low, conspiratorial tones. Fear erupted in your chest again, but this time it mingled with a spark of determination. Your mind raced, thoughts colliding. You needed a plan, some way to break free. Listen closely, the hooded figure said, his tone dripping with malice. Before we decide your fate, you will know how powerless you truly are. His words hung in the air, prodding at the doubt that quieted the fire within you. But you sensed a flicker of opportunity, an unraveling thread waiting to be pulled. As you exchanged glances with the woman, you could see her resolve was rekindled. Then a voice rang out sharply, slicing through the tension. We need to move now. The figure's eyes darted toward the sound, uncertainty etched on his face as your heart pounded with a newfound urgency. It was a direction, a call to escape. But trust was a limited resource. Did you dare to run again? Your pulse raced, and you could feel the turning tide. Would you plunge back into the darkness of fear or seize this moment of confusion and break the chains of despair? The circle around you began to fracture, the moment of reckoning hanging just out of reach. What lay beyond this veil of darkness? Would you find the light or sink deeper into the council's grasp? It was time to choose. You inhaled sharply, ready for whatever awaited you. Would you stand up for what you believed in, or would you bow to the shadows? What came next would decide your fate and might just turn the tides. You barely had time to think. Adrenaline surged through you, propelling you forward as the urgency of the moment ignited a fire in your chest. You shot a glance at the woman beside you. Her eyes gleamed with a mix of fear and hope. You had to trust her. Now. You yelled, and together, you bolted toward the edges of the circle, where shadows blurred into darkness. The council members were caught off guard, their expressions shifting from amusement to anger and then to shock. Chaos erupted, feet stampeded against the ground, shouts and screams intertwining in a cacophony that threatened to drown out the very thought of escape. You could feel the air thicken, filled with hostility and confusion. You darted forward, pulling the woman along, your heart racing that a voice behind you hissed, "You will not get away that easily." The anger pulsed like a living thing, vibrating through the floor beneath you. The scent of damp earth and smoke filled your lungs as you ran. Every step pushed you deeper into the unknown, but you couldn't afford to look back. The darkness behind could swallow you whole. "Where do we go?" Her voice trembled, fear skimming the edges. "Follow me," you urged, forcing a sense of calm into your tone. "We have to find a way out." You veered left, propelling yourself further into the shadows, into a maze of corridors that twisted like a snake in the dark. Fear quickened your pace, but you couldn't let doubt bury you. The council, those lurking phantoms, would come after you. This was your moment. Your chance. As you sprinted further away, the whispers from the council lingered in the air, a haunting echo that gnawed at your resolve. Would they catch you before you could uncover the truth about their twisted game? You felt a growing desperation, but amidst the tangles of fear, you sensed something else, an urgency deeper than panic, something resembling hope. Suddenly, you stumbled across a door, its heavy wood standing defiantly in front of you. You pushed against it, it groaned in protest but then yielded, swinging open with a creak. The light beyond was blinding, but you didn't hesitate. You stepped inside. The room you entered was bathed in blinding light, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. It was a stark contrast to the suffocating shadows outside. You and the woman stood breathless, scanning the expanse, but there was no time to wallow in relief. Your instincts screamed that you had to keep moving. Peering through the gaps of the grand windows, you caught a glimpse of the outside world. Freedom was just within reach. But how? The heavy silence pressed down, heavy like the weight of an unsolved mystery. The tension inside you swirled, each heartbeat echoed with a sense of urgency. "Do you think they'll follow us?" she asked, her voice a thin thread of uncertainty. You turned to face her, determination flooding your features. "We need to stay ahead. If we can find a way to disrupt their power, we can fight back. There has to be something here, something they're hiding." Before she could respond, a loud thud echoed from the corridor. Footsteps rapidly approached. The council was not far behind. "Quick! We need to find a way out of here." But your words were cut short when a sudden realization struck you. What if escaping was only the beginning? What if discovering the secrets of this place could unlock something greater, a chance to fight back against the storm? Just as the door burst open and shadows poured in, you spotted a glimmer of something shiny in the corner of the room. A hidden truth waiting to be unveiled. But would you seize it in time, or would the storm consume you? The moments ticked by, and your next move would lead you into the depths of revelation or into the clutches of despair. You lunged toward the glimmer, breath hitching with a mix of fear and anticipation. The woman beside you hesitated, casting a worried glance at the doorway, where shadows swirled like predatory creatures eager to snatch you back into darkness. "Don't look back," you snapped, your voice sharper than you intended. You reached out for whatever lay before you. Your fingers brushed against something cool and metallic, an ornate key, engraved with symbols that pulsed faintly, as if alive. "What is that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know, but we'll need it," you replied, pocketing the key just as the door to the room echoed with another loud bang. The pounding footsteps grew louder, drowning out thrumming panic in your chest. "Let us go," you shouted, breaking into a sprint toward the opposite wall. You could hear the council's voices now, a menacing chorus filled with bitter promises of retribution. "Stop them," one cried, and the urgency behind it sent a chill down your spine. You pushed through another door at the far end, bursting into a narrow hallway lined with flickering lanterns that cast ominous shadows. The painted walls dripped with age and secrets. Where to next? She panted, her breath coming in ragged bursts. Look for anything up ahead, another door, a window, anything. You didn't slow down. You were a candle racing against the wind, determined not to be snuffed out. Then came a sharp laugh from behind, slicing through your panic. You think you can escape? A council member taunted, his voice dripping with malice. You're only prolonging the inevitable. Instinctively, you tightened your grip on the key. Every ounce of your being screamed that it held significance. What if it was the key to everything? Those words echoed in your mind, mixing with the hammering footsteps. Suddenly, a beam of light pierced through another door just a few steps ahead. There! You yelled, bolting toward it. You ran, adrenaline surging, the air electric with threat and possibility. She hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing her features. What if it's a trap? Do you want to stay here and find out? You didn't wait for an answer, you grabbed her hand, pulling her forward just as the door swung open, revealing an expansive library. The smell of old parchment and leather enveloped you, a sanctuary of knowledge amidst the chaos. You scanned the room, your eyes landing on shelves that reached the ceiling. Books were piled high, their titles faded. Perhaps buried within those pages lay the secrets you needed. Search for anything about the council. You urged, letting go of her hand. Your heart raced as you felt the pages call out, desperate for exploration. She nodded, sprinting to a nearby shelf, flipping through tomes. You could hear her muttering titles under her breath, but your focus shifted as another sound caught your ear, a shuffling from the far corner. You spun around, heart hammering. A figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked in a dark robe. The hood masked their face, but their presence felt heavy, like a storm brewing. Not so fast, the figure hissed, their voice cutting like ice. Who are you? You demanded, your voice barely concealing the tremor beneath. The figure laughed softly, a sound that echoed with both sorrow and malice. I hold the answers you seek, but at a price. You felt time freeze. The weight of uncertainty pressed in. What answers did they have? What were you willing to risk to uncover the truth? Your pulse quickened as you exchanged a glance with the woman. You sensed her fear, but also determination. The council was closing in. This could be your only shot. Would you bargain for the truth, or would the shadows consume you before you learned to fight back? With breaths held in suspense, you prepared to step closer to face whatever revelation awaited. Your heart beat like a drum as you stepped forward, driven by instinct rather than logic. Everything about the figure radiated danger, yet the intrigue of their offer pulled you in like gravity. Voices from the council grew louder outside, a cacophony of threats drifting through the library's walls. Time is running out, the figure urged, their dark cloaks swaying gently as they moved closer, shadows dancing around them. You seek knowledge, but knowledge always demands a sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice? You felt your throat tighten around the words, uncertainty mingling with the urgency of the moment. You exchanged glances with the woman beside you, her eyes blazed with steely resolve, but you could also see the flickers of her doubt. The figure leaned closer, their voice barely a whisper, a piece of your memory, a moment you cherish. In return, I can unveil the truth about the council, about your power, about everything. Your breath caught in your throat. A piece of your memory? The thought stung like ice. But what choice did you have? The council would soon find you, the shadows were already creeping. Do it. She urged, her voice a mix of fear and determination. We can't let them take control over our lives. Take the risk. The room felt charged with anticipation. Every beat of your heart screamed either to run or to barter with this ominous figure. You took a deep breath. What memory? The figure paused, glancing past you as though searching your soul. You will forget the moment when you knew who you truly were. The instant your heart realized its strength. A moment that forged the way to your true self. Your mind raced. That moment had brought you here. It held the power of now and the hope of the future. But what if this was your only chance? Are you willing? They pressed, eyes glowing within the shadows. The echoes of footsteps reverberated through the hall, too close for comfort. You shook your head, frustration boiling within you. I don't know if I can afford to lose that. Yet here you stand, a candle in the storm. The figure's voice dropped even lower. Will you shine brightly to topple the darkness or let it snuff you out? Panic surged as the library's shadows grew darker. Every second felt like an eternity. You sensed the urgency in the air, your pulse quickened as shadows balled into fists, preparing to strike. Let us make a deal. You shouted, resolve pouring from your voice. I'll offer my memory if you give us a way to escape. A sardonic smile curved the figure's lips. You think you can buy freedom with a mere memory? How foolish, not just for me. For her too. You pointed to the woman standing at your side, her eyes wide with fear and determination. We both want to escape this nightmare. Silence fell over the library in response, even the council's frantic footsteps seemingly fading momentarily. The figure's eyes flickered with calculation, considering your proposition. 2 memories for your escape or remain trapped in a cycle of failure, they replied, finally tilting their hood back to reveal a thin face marked with enigmatic lines of age. Your heart raced as you made your decision. You looked at her, watching her fear morph into courage, and nodded. We'll do it. We'll sacrifice what we must. Very well, the figure uttered, almost gleefully. Then brace for the plunge into the unknown. At that instant, the world tilted. A brilliant flash ignited in your mind, warmth spreading until everything vanished into darkness. When you opened your eyes again, you stood alone in the vast library, the woman gone, the shadows quiet. What have I done? A cold shiver ran down your spine, an empty pit forming in your stomach. Desperation clawed at you as you searched the dim room, but all that remained were the whispers of forgotten words. The council was close, how would you face them now? Suddenly, a small book fluttered to the ground from a dusty shelf nearby. You knelt to pick it up, and your breath caught in your throat as the title screamed a threat, The Betrayer's Path. Was this a clue? Or a trap set to ensnare you deeper? Into darkness? Your pulse quickened again, and the shadows seemed to gather once more. There was no turning back. Would the book reveal a way to reclaim what you lost, or would it plunge you into deeper chaos? The only way to find out was to open it. You held the book in trembling hands, its cover cold against your skin. The title loomed like a specter, daring you to shatter the calm before the storm. The Betrayer's Path whispered lures and threats, and deep inside, you feared the words contained within. With a deep breath, you flicked the pages open. They fluttered violently at first, as if reluctant to reveal their secrets, but soon settled. Scrawled ink met your eyes, seeping details on betrayal and vengeance. This wasn't just a story, it felt like a warning, like an echo from your past. You shouldn't be here. A voice, barely a whisper, slipped past your ears, making you bolt upright. Panic washed over you, a tide threatening to pull you under. You searched the shadows, heart hammering. Who spoke? And why did their voice carry the weight of dread? As if sensing your turmoil, the library stirred, books rattling in their places. The council's footsteps returned, thundering just beyond the walls, growing closer. Their shadows intertwined with the whispers in the air, menacing and cold. You needed answers and fast. Glancing back at the book, your instinct screamed. You had to uncover what lay within its pages, but doing so might also put you in greater peril. With a sharp defiance burning in your chest, you began to read. The Betrayer's Path spoke of hidden doors and fragmented memories, of those who chose ignorance and paid the price with their souls. Each line lit a fire in your mind, illuminating the connection between the council and your own power. They were the ones who had twisted your past, burying your truth beneath their lies. The ink writhed like serpents, revealing a flicker of your memory's split scenes of betrayal and regret. As glimpses of the woman you lost surfaced, her face etched with fear, her voice a haunting echo, you clenched your fists and fought the sorrow. Did the sacrifice mean she was lost forever? Reading further, your blood ran cold as you stumbled across a paragraph that twisted like a knife. But remember, only those who embrace the truth can forge their destiny. Your heart raced anew. Embrace the truth? What truth? The council's grip tightened. They'd make sure you didn't get the chance to learn. You could almost feel their breath on your neck, like an icy gust promising pain. Without thinking, you darted deeper into the library, using the shadows to cloak your movements. The truth was not simply in books but within yourself, hidden beyond the layers of obliterated memories. But could you uncover it before they found you? Suddenly, a flash of light cut through the darkness, illuminating a corridor that bifurcated within the library's depths. It beckoned, and your gut twisted with intuition. One path promised revelation, while the other whispered of imminent capture and doom. Your pulse raced as you peered down both ways, weighed by the urgency of your next move. Go right, a voice nudged within you, clearer than the last. Your instincts felt raw, almost pricked, but you had to hope they guided you to safety. With a quick check over your shoulder, you turned right, hurrying down the dimly lit passage. The book clenched tightly under your arm. You sensed an undercurrent of energy swirling through the air. Was it fear? Or hope? As you made your way, you heard snippets of conversations ahead, the council members growing more agitated. Their intentions were chilling. They were searching for you, closing in like a pack of wolves on a wounded prey. Would they sense your presence, or could you slip by unnoticed? Then, a loud crash echoed through the library, knocking books from their shelves, dust swirling in the air like tiny stars. You ducked instinctively, heart racing. The shadows responded to the chaos, coiling and twisting around you, pulling you closer to the edge of revelation. Would you unravel the mysteries that bind you? Or would the council snuff out your light, reduce you to a memory of fear? At that moment, a shimmering light flickered at the end of the corridor. You could almost reach out and touch it. But would stepping into the light reveal your deepest truths or plunge you further into betrayal? The moment of choice lay heavy in front of you, uncertainty crackling in the air. You had to decide: take the risk or retreat into darkness. The light at the end of the corridor shimmered like a beacon of hope, slicing through the chaos that lurked all around. Your heart raced as you pulled the book tighter against your chest. Every instinct urged you forward. You had to discover the truth, not just for yourself, but for the woman whose fate now intertwined with yours. The council's murmurings grew louder, their voices rough, slicing the air with threats. Panic danced at the edges of your resolve. You couldn't let fear dictate your path any longer. You took a deep breath and sprinted toward the light, a surge of adrenaline pumping through your veins, igniting your senses. This was at the moment you would reclaim your truth. As you entered the radiance, warm light wrapped around you like a protective cloak. It illuminated the room in vivid clarity. You found yourself in an expansive chamber, open and vast, more like a sanctuary than the grim space you had encountered moments before. The walls were lined with mirrors, their surfaces rippling with energy, reflecting multiple versions of your own anxious yet determined expression. "Welcome," a voice echoed, resonating with authority yet tinged with understanding. You turned to find a figure standing in the center of the room, shimmering almost ethereally. It felt as if time slowed as you took in their presence. "I am the keeper of truth." "Truth?" You echoed, desperation lacing your tone. "I need to know how to fight back against the council. They're hunting me." The keeper nodded, motioning to the mirrors. "Every version of you captured in this moment holds a fragment of your truth. To confront the council, you must embrace these pieces of yourself, even the painful memories you've tried to bury. Only by accepting who you are can you unveil your true power." You glanced at your reflections. Each one radiated different facets of your personality: the warrior, the dreamer, the coward, the hero. Each face told a story, etched with joy and anguish. You could feel the weight of every past choice, every fear, coiling within you, begging for acknowledgement. Time fluttered as you fought against the rising tide of memories. The woman flashed before your mind, her spirit, her strength, her urgency echoing within you. You had made the choice to sacrifice your memory for hope, for the both of you to fend off the council's grasp. But by submerging that memory, had you also lost part of yourself? Suddenly, a voice filled the room, the council's growling, rabid in pursuit. "Do not let them deceive you." They shouted from the shadows, their presence palpable even here. "You belong to us." You froze at their words, fear creeping in once more. But the keeper urged you forward. Remember what you've sacrificed, and let it fuel you. Every shadow carries the light, bring it forth. Now. You yelled, determination surging. You stepped toward the mirror, reaching out with trembling fingers. As you touched its cool surface, a flood of memories cascaded over you, moments of kindness, laughter, as well as the pain and struggles. The weight of every experience ignited in a whirlwind of light, encompassing you, pouring into your lungs. Not today. You cried as the power surged within you, radiating energy outward. The mirrors flickered, cracking the surface of their reflections, releasing color and brilliance. The council's voices faded, drowned by the expanding waves of strength blooming inside you. With every ounce of courage, you turned to face the doorway as shadows swelled, encroaching upon the sanctuary. I will not be silenced. You declared. The essence of your truth pooled into your palms, swirling with vibrant light before bursting forth, waves colliding, truth unshackled from fear. The shadows recoiled, their forms writhing as they twisted against your brilliance, the cacophony of rage drowning out their shrill cries. You felt lighter, unbound by the shackles they had imposed. Now. The keeper urged, pushing you forward into the chaos of light and shadow. Unveil your fate. With one final push, you stepped through the doorway, propelled back into the labyrinth of the library. The whispers of the truths you had embraced surged with you, empowering your every stride. You would fight, no, you would conquer whatever darkness awaited you, standing your ground as one with purpose. The council faltered amidst your new luminescence, shadows evaporating in your wake. You think this is enough? Their leader's hollow snarl echoed through the chamber. You cannot resist. But you stood unwavering, the echoes of the woman, her strength now within you. You don't own me. You shouted. You lost the moment I embraced who I am. And with that, the light exploded outward, engulfing the dark council and their whispered threats, scattering the shadows like dust in the wind. You moved with purpose, each step sending shards of brilliance through the space. Emerging into the heart of the city, you felt the cool night air wash over you, a stark contrast to the tension that had ensnared you. The woman stood nearby, her eyes wide, the fear now replaced by admiration. You did it, she whispered, hope igniting within you once more. The council was gone, still tormented by their own shadows. Turning to her, you smiled through tears of relief. We're not done yet, you replied. This is just the beginning. Together, we'll forge our path forward, living authentically. This battle ends now, for all of us. In the glow of newfound hope, you took her hand, the warmth binding you through the chaos of a world laden with hidden truths. The storm had passed, but together, you would shine. You had embraced your sensitivity. You had taken back the narrative. It was time to walk your true path together. Now that you've experienced this incredible journey, don't forget to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel, so you don't miss any more exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the light together.